All right, so here we are at the Violent Python 3, and the first one here is talking about strings, which is, I started here because it's an important issue, and also because it's the main difference between Python 2 and Python 3 that I needed to learn. So let's just start with this program, greet.py. If I do nano greet, and you can use, of course, any text editor you like. I use this old primitive text editor because I like to work in command line only environments. But anyway, so what you've got here, the main one difference I noticed between Python 2 and Python 3 is print is a proper function where you always have to have parentheses around what you're going to print. So that's fine. But anyway, you can make a string. In Python, you don't need to declare variable types. It will just guess from the data you put in. So if I just set greet equal to hello world, it'll decide that must be a string. So I can print the string, and you can pick pieces of a string with just square brackets from character 0 up to but not including character number 3, and so on. And you can go 3 from the end to the end with this kind of construction. And you can even find a character this way. So if A is finding the comma, it will find this comma. So if I print up to the comma, I'll see the part of it before the comma. So you save a text file with your Python commands, and then you run Python 3 and the name of the thing you're running. And there you go. So here's the raw string, hello world, and here's various pieces, and here's the part before the comma. So, yeah.
We can't see you typing.
Oh, it froze on me again. Man, this is what I was afraid of with this. Okay, let me try
right, Sam.
a couple.
Sam, yeah. You restart your computer, do whatever you have to do. I'll take over the share and continue the first project.
Yeah, let's see. Am I still recording?
You are.
It was probably the wrong screen.
And it's not the wrong screen. It's just, yeah, it's still recording. So just, why don't you go ahead with the demonstration there, Caitlin? I'll keep recording.
Okay, dokie. I'm going to boot up a virtual machine right now. And oops, there we go. So I have access to Python. Share screen. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, still booting. Sorry, this is going to take so long. Take a second to get going.
Here, I'll pause the recording because I might have mine working by the time. All right. So hopefully my technical problems are going to be less sticky for a little while here, and I'll be able to continue to demonstrate this. So what we did, make this nice and big. Okay. Get rid of what I can. All right. So this picks up part of the, let me see if I can, all right. Finally digging down to the good stuff here. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now if I want to make a network connection, I have to, there are various ways to do it. In fact, there's a requests library that lets you do it an easy way, but this is raw sockets, which is a way to get started. So that program is echo. And so here, you import the socket library, which is why everything's easy in Python, because there are libraries that do all the work for you. All you have to do is figure out how to use the libraries that people write. And this is the raw BSD sockets that made the internet. So you have a socket object, and then you have a connect method, which performs a TCP handshake to this server on that port. And then if your server sends some response just to the handshake, then you can see you'll get a received data. So sreceive will receive up to 1024 bytes of data. Now it comes in as bytes, which is a separate object from strings in Python 3. So you run it through decode to turn it back into a string, and then you can print it. Then I send data to it, hello from Python, and a carriage return. And then I can print what comes back.
Because we can get this one, we can now start.
Let me see if I can find the
next
participant
steps?
list to do something about that sound.
I got it.
Okay, good. I'm glad you do, because I can't fit it on my little screen here very well. All right, so now if I run that one, Python 3.
Issues. Again, from an overall standpoint, I think we can start moving in a direction.
See if you can keep on silencing them. So the, all right, and I see a chat coming in. Let me see if I'm catching it. Yep, good, okay. All right, so shove that out of the way. All right, I got a little problem with my system, but we're coping. So now it sends it to the server. It says, hello from Python, and this server just echoes whatever you sent it. But the point is now you have an example how to process strings, and you have an example how to make a network connection. So now you can solve some challenges. So here, you want to connect to this server on a different port and send it a string, goodbye, instead of hello, and then you'll get a flag. And then you've got one that should keep you out of trouble for a little while. When you communicate with this server, you connect on that port, and it sends you a number. Now you have to parse this string, turn that number into an integer, add 1 to it, turn it back into a string, and send it up to the server to get the flag. And then you can play with loops. Here's a few Python 3 loops, the 2 kinds that we're going to use. And this kind of confused me when I first did this. This is one thing. I was used to programming C. And in C, if you have a block of text like a loop, you use curly braces at the start and end of it. But in Python, white space matters. So if you make a loop, I can do for I in range of 3, that will count through 0, 1, and 2. And then you have some kind of statement that refers to a block of code followed by a colon. The next line must be indented with any combination of tabs and spaces. And then you have to indent future lines by exactly the same amount, and they're in the loop. And when you stop indenting, you're out of the loop. So this loop only contains 1 line, print I, and then this one here will pick every character out of this string, C-H-E, and print them. So if I run that one, let me save this, and Python 3 loop, you see this goes 0, 1, 2, and that goes C-H-E. So that's how Python 3 loops. When I first started, I was careless about white space from using C, but white space matters in Python. The indentation matters. And so now you've got another challenge where you get 2 numbers. You're going to have to pick out these 2 numbers and add them or subtract them. And you're going to have to do it 5 times to get the flag. All right. And the last thing to understand about strings is how it handles Unicode, which is pretty interesting. So in Python 2, I was very used to something which I also was used to from C, which was a bad habit. I considered strings to just be a series of bytes. So I would have a series of bytes like this, 41 in hexadecimal, 42 in FF. And 41 is capital A, 42 is capital B, and FF is an unprintable character. So we just print it as the byte FF. And I was just so used to this, I thought of a string as a series of individual bytes. But that is an old-fashioned, unwise thing to say, because in modern languages like Chinese and Japanese and Arabic, there's a lot more characters. So you don't have just 1 byte for a character. A character is really a different thing than a byte. And that's how it works in Python 3. So if you try doing this same stuff in Python 3, you get a strange result. Now I'm going to run Python in interactive mode. All right, so Python 3. And I'm afraid my screen has failed to update again. Let's see, I'm going to put it here and run it. But it is in fact failing to update again. So I'm going to stop the recording and